Let's do this. Google and AI. Today's deep dive is going to be juicy. We're breaking down this Sundar Pichai interview.
Oh, yeah. This one's a goldmine.
Big time. What stood out to me was Pichai, he pretty much said Google's AI is the top dog.
Right.
Flat out.
Right. Head-to-head with Microsoft.
Yeah.
Any day, any time.
Yeah.
He wasn't messing around.
Bold move.
Yeah.
But then I found it really interesting how he talked about the pace of AI. Like, we're past the easy stuff.
Yeah, the low-hanging fruit analogy, right? Now it's about the real breakthroughs.
Exactly. It's not just throwing more computers at the problem.
It's the algorithms, he says. Like,
Yeah.
we need a whole different level of understanding. Think causal inference, natural language, stuff that still trips up current AI.
So maybe scaling up those existing models, like what some competitors are doing. Maybe that's not the whole story.
Maybe not. And this brings us to Google's bread and butter search. Remember Christopher Mims from the Wall Street Journal?
Oh, yeah. He's been pretty vocal about this.
Big time. He's basically saying AI could eat Google's lunch when it comes to search.
Yeah, younger generations, they're going straight to AI. And all that AI-generated content, it could totally muddy the waters of traditional search.
Right. It's the classic innovator's dilemma textbook case. Like, how does a company like Google, so dominant, adapt when their whole model might be on the chopping block?
Okay, so what did Pichai say to that? Did he, even admit it's a threat?
Oh, he did, but then he flipped it. He said, think about it. A world drowning in information. Who do you trust? Google.
Okay, interesting. But I don't know, does that feel more like a defensive move?
Could be,
Yeah.
but he's adamant that innovation's the only way forward.
True, but it's not just about Google innovating, right? Who are they even watching in this space?
Oh, you name names. OpenAI.
Anthropic.
Musk's XAI. Yeah, I was going to say.
Exactly, but then you went even further, right? Meta, Apple, Amazon, even Tesla.
Wow. It's not just a Google versus Microsoft showdown anymore, that's for sure.
Nope. But here's the thing. He didn't seem stressed. He actually thinks it's good. Like, this is a huge opportunity. The more, the merrier. Okay, competition can be a good thing, I guess. But internally, there's been a lot of talk about a culture shift at Google. Less, woke and more mission-focused.
Yeah, it's interesting how Pichai put it. Alignment with Google's mission is key. Don't be evil, but with a focus on actually getting things done.
It was subtle, but I picked up on it too. It's like, we're here to build stuff, not be a soapbox.
Right. Peter Thiel's been saying similar things, how the woke experiment in Silicon Valley is failing.
Yeah, companies are taking back control of their narrative, it seems.
Definitely. So what's this mission-focused approach even look like at Google? Do we have specifics?
He didn't get super specific, but he talked about measurable results, innovation in AI, cloud, and even beyond what Google's traditionally done. Which makes me think, what about all those experimental projects? The other bets?
Right, like Waymo. He actually shared a story about taking his parents for a ride in a Waymo in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
He said it was a turning point, the AI driving better than a human in that crazy city.
It made me think, this isn't just theory, it's happening.
Exactly. Which leads to the question, could Google, this giant, be better off split up?
Whoa, that's a big one.
And Pichai didn't shy away from it. Remember Alphabet? That holding company structure.
Yeah.
He said it was partly because some parts, like Waymo, might become independent one day.
So Google letting go of what could be huge successes on their own. Wow.
Yeah, it shows they're willing to change things up, adapt.
Okay, so my next thought. Which other bet might be next to break free? Is it Waymo with the self-driving cars or something in AI, quantum computing?
We can only guess for now, right?
Right. But before we move on, there was something else that struck me. Pichai, he's personally committed to seeing this AI journey through, but what does that even mean? What's the end game?
That's a good question. I'm not sure even he knows for sure. It seems like he sees AI as something that's just going to keep evolving, no finish line.
So less about checking boxes like passing the Turing test and more about just the journey itself.
Yeah, the ongoing progress, understanding AI, shaping it responsibly, learning to live with it.
Wow. It's a powerful idea. Like, buckle up, because this is going to get wild.
Exactly. Buckle up. Speaking of wild, we got to talk about this lawsuit, right?
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. government, antitrust, the whole shebang. Some people are saying, break them up.
Yeah, it's serious stuff. Spinning off Chrome, putting limits on Android. They even talked about stopping Google from paying to be the default search engine.
It's crazy, though. The judge, he actually said Google search is better because of all their innovation. But then He turns around and says they're stifling competition.
Yeah, I don't get that either. It's like praise them, then punish them.
Pichai actually pointed that out, how ironic it is. All that competition we talked about, the AI scene is booming. But he also said, look, this is a legal battle, and Google's going to fight it.
He seemed pretty sure they'll come out on top. And his argument about how Google's innovations help people, hard to disagree. Open sourcing AI research, the work on self-driving cars, even quantum computing.
True, they've done a lot. But there's the politics of it all, too, right? The Biden administration, they want more competition in tech, period.
Yeah, some are saying breaking up big tech is a real possibility. So what about Pichai? How does he see this political landscape? Is Biden a bigger threat?
He was very diplomatic. Said he's talked to Biden about America's being competitive in tech, especially AI. Mentioned infrastructure, energy, stuff like that. Maybe hinting at working together.
Sounds like he's playing both sides, defending Google while trying to find common ground. But politics aside, Google's in some choppy waters. How does a company this huge even handle all this pressure internally and externally?
Leadership was a big thing for Pichai. Clear vision, discipline. He used Waymo as an example, how Google stuck with it, focused on safety, and now look at them. He thinks that same approach, bold but responsible, is what'll work for AI too.
Makes sense. Steady hand on the wheel, that kind of thing. But speaking of AI, we got to talk about Geoffrey Hinton, godfather of AI, right? And he's come out saying he regrets his whole life's work. He's scared of what he created. That's a lot coming from the guy who basically invented the field.
It's definitely intense. Makes you wonder if more AI pioneers are having second thoughts. But Pichai, while he knows the risks, he's still optimistic.
Right. AI for good, healthcare, drug discovery, climate change. Like, don't get lost in the fear.
And he said Google's working to prevent the bad stuff. Watermarking, ways to stop those deepfakes.
So not ignoring the problem.
Nope. And what's good is these conversations are happening at the top. The industry's realizing, hey, this stuff can be misused. We got to be careful.
Gives me some hope. It's not just a tool, right? It's got the power to do amazing things, but also really messed up things. We got to make sure it's used for good.
Which brings us to regulation. Even Pichai said the government needs to step in, set some rules for ethical AI. But can you even regulate something this complex, this fast-moving?
Right. That's the question, isn't it? It's not one thing, it's a million things. Restaurant recommendations, medical diagnoses, even financial stuff. One set of rules won't work for all that.
Pichai agrees. He wants a targeted approach. Focus on the riskiest stuff, like deepfakes, bias in algorithms used for loans, or even criminal justice.
Okay, makes sense. But even then, how do you write rules that actually work and can keep up with how fast AI is changing? It feels like technology always outruns the law. By the time you make a rule, it's already outdated.
True, it's a race. But that doesn't mean we just give up, right? Pichai said it needs to be a constant conversation. Governments, experts, ethicists got to work together to make sure regulations stay relevant.
So a more agile approach, one that can adapt. I like that. But it's not just about governments and companies. Us, the everyday people using AI. What's our responsibility here?
That's a really important point, and I think people forget it. It's easy to just say, oh, the experts will handle it. But we all need to learn about AI, the good, the bad, have conversations, think about how we want it to affect our lives.
It's like we're all in this giant beta test. We got to pay attention, speak up if something's wrong.
100%. Collective responsibility. Can't just sit back and hope for the best. We're shaping this thing.
And speaking of shaping things, what about content creators? Google's whole model is built on content, but what happens when AI starts making it? Who owns it? How do creators get paid when machines can do their jobs?
Oh, that's a whole other mess. We've already got lawsuits about using copyrighted stuff to train AI. People are worried about their jobs.
Feels like a huge shift is coming. How we think about creativity, who the author even is, the value of stuff made by humans, it's all changing.
Yeah. And Pichai knows it. He said we need new ways to make sure creators get paid in this AI world. Talk about Google licensing content, which is a start, I guess.
Interesting. But who really benefits from that? Are creators getting a fair cut? Or is Google just profiting off their work without paying them enough?
That's the thing, right? It's not enough to just say, we're licensing. We need to look at the details, make sure creators are treated fairly.
So we're heading into a world where it's harder and harder to tell what's made by humans and what's made by AI.
Exactly. And our laws, how we think about money, it all needs to change to keep up. Make sure creators get credit, human or machine, and that they get paid.
This is a conversation for everyone. Creators, tech companies, the government, all of us. We got to balance AI's potential with protecting people's livelihoods, their art.
And we got to have this talk now. AI is moving fast.
Yeah.
The longer we wait, the harder it gets.
So true. Speaking of speed, Pichai said AI is already all over Google, helping with code, making things more efficient. He even said 25% of the code at Google has AI suggestions in it.
That's a lot. Shows how serious they are about being AI first. They're not just making AI for others, they're using it themselves to get ahead.
But that brings us back to jobs, right? If AI can code, what happens to software engineers?
Pichai doesn't think they'll disappear. He thinks AI will help them, not replace them. He actually compared it to blogging. It didn't kill professional writing, it just made it easier for everyone to write.
So more people coding, even without a computer science degree.
Maybe. But it also means we need to teach people how to work with AI, what it's good at, what it's bad at, use it to your advantage.
So it's not a threat, it's a tool. We gotta change how we think about it. In schools, at work, everywhere.
Huge shift in mindset.
Yeah.
And it's got to happen if we want AI to be a good thing.
It all goes back to what we were saying, right? Shared responsibility. Google can't solve this alone. We all gotta do our part. Make sure AI is used for good for everyone.
Exactly. Brings us full circle to Google's place in all this. They've got the resources, the knowledge, the reach. It's on them to use AI ethically.
A lot of pressure, but they seem to get it. Pichai's been clear about doing AI the right way. He even wants the government to step in. But actions speak louder than words, right? It's about what they actually do. Their products, their policies, how they work with others.
Walking the walks for sure.
And all this is happening while Google's changing internally, too. We talked about being mission-focused, maybe a response to all the employee activism, but there's more to it, right? This whole power dynamic between leadership and the employees, that's shifting. How's that going to affect Google's future?
It's a classic example of how the relationship between companies and workers is changing. This new generation, they're louder, they want more, they question everything. And Google, with their whole, we're different, we care about our employees thing, they're right in the middle of it.
Pichai said they need to be more united. Employees need to be on board with Google's mission, not using the company for their own agendas. It's tricky, though. How do you keep that open culture while setting boundaries?
Lots of companies are struggling with this. Open communication, teamwork, that's all good. But you also got to stay focused on your goals.
And what about employees wanting a say in stuff that's not traditionally work stuff? That's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah. Leading a company today is different. The old ways don't work. You got to find new ways to connect with employees, build trust, get everyone working towards the same thing.
Google's journey is going to be interesting to watch, that's for sure. They were all about the employees, but now things are changing. How are they going to adapt?
And all this internal stuff is happening while they're dealing with lawsuits, regulations, the whole 9 yards. Big changes, lots of uncertainty. What Google does now will decide if they stay on top or become a what not to do story.
High stakes, no doubt. But it's going to be exciting to see what happens.
We've got a front row seat to the digital revolution. The future of Google, maybe even the future of tech, is up in the air.
Yeah, it's like we're on the edge of something huge. And not just Google, the whole tech world.
And Pichai's putting Google right in the driver's seat of this AI-powered future. It's not like little tweaks here and there. He's talking massive change.
Right. Fire, electricity. He even said those words. AI is going to be that big, he thinks.
Yeah, he really went there.
It's exciting, but also kind of scary. Imagine how electricity changed everything. Factories, communication, even just daily life.
Yeah, and some people are definitely freaked out, right? Jobs disappearing, AI used for surveillance, even weapons. Not exactly small worries.
So did Pichai even acknowledge that? The scary side of AI?
Oh, yeah. But he's all about balance. He said AI is a powerful tool. We got to be smart about it. Guidelines, regulations, all that. But he truly believes the good outweighs the bad.
That's where those examples came in, right?
Yeah.
Medical stuff, new drugs, fighting climate change.
Exactly. It's like, don't freak out. Let's use this power for good.
But it's got to be more than just wanting to do good. What's Google actually doing to make sure AI is developed responsibly?
Well, look at how they're handling this whole AI-generated content thing. We talked about it before, right? Copyright, who owns what, the future of creative work? It's a minefield, ethically.
And it's already happening, lawsuits and debates about AI using stuff it shouldn't. Human creativity versus machines, the lines are getting blurry.
Yeah, and this is where Google has to walk the walk. Pichai talked about new economic models, paying creators fairly in this AI world. Mentioned licensing as a start.
Okay, but licensing isn't everything. It's not just about what's legal, it's about what's right. Creators, human, or maybe even AI one day, got to get credit and get paid fairly.
Totally agree. And this is just the beginning of the conversation. We need transparency, accountability, everyone benefiting from AI, not just a few.
It does feel like we're all figuring this out together, kind of making it up as we go along.
A journey into the unknown. High stakes, too. What we do now will affect everything. Creativity, innovation, maybe even how we define what it means to be human.
So, big picture, what should our listeners take away from all this about Google and AI?
I'd say the biggest thing is AI is not sci-fi anymore. It's here, it's changing fast, and it's going to affect us all.
And Google's right in the thick of it, leading the tech charge, but also trying to figure out how to do AI ethically.
But it's bigger than Google. We all have a part to play in shaping this thing. Stay informed, get involved, and hold the powerful accountable.
We got to go beyond the fear and the hype, think critically about AI, the good and the bad, work together to make sure it makes the world better.
And remember, we're not just watching this happen. We have a choice, a voice, a responsibility to build the future we want.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive, folks. Hope it got you thinking, maybe even inspired you a little.
Keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep pushing the limits. The future of AI is in our hands.